welcome back to another What's for Dinner. On this night, I was making some steak with roasted potatoes and some corn and asparagus. So as you can see, I was having my coffee. I wanted to get everything prepped in the morning so everything was ready for dinner. I cut up my potatoes and I wanted to get my steak ready so it could sit in the refrigerator all day until dinner time. So I used 2 whole jalapenos with the seeds and everything, and I know that sounds like it's going to be spicy, but it actually just adds a really nice flavor with a little hint of spice. It's not too spicy. This steak was thinner than the one I usually get, but it still worked. You just need to be careful not to overcook it. It literally takes just a few minutes for it to cook in the pan. And once you got your steak all sliced up, you add it to the jalapenos in the bowl and add your garlic. I use a lot of garlic in everything. And then I use sriracha sauce this time, but I have used regular hot sauce in the past. So whatever hot sauce you like, it would taste really good. And then you add soy sauce. And then you mix this all together and cover it up and let it sit all day. I didn't film it, but I did melt some butter and then I cut up some fresh garlic and added it to the potatoes. And then I just added my favorite seasoning to them. And I roast them at 425 degrees for about 45 minutes to an hour. I just cook the asparagus in the oven until the tips are nice and crispy. And like I said, the meat only takes a couple of minutes to cook. You don't want to overcook it. This is one of my favorite things to make, you guys. It is so delicious. The next night was probably the easiest night of the whole week. I'm just making a Caesar salad and we're making some spicy noodles and we are having some of the meat that was left over from the previous night. These are the really spicy ramen noodles that people used in all of those hot noodle challenges, but my husband and I really enjoy the flavor of these. I don't have an Asian market near me anymore, so I buy them online. The steak from the night before went really well with these noodles. It was so good. Okay, going from the easiest night to the most complicated night. I was making some eggplant pizza. My daughter Avery loves when I make eggplant pizza. So first I put salt on both sides and I let it sit out for about 30 minutes. And then after 30 minutes there's a lot of water, so I take a paper towel and I just dab them until they're dry. I don't know if that's the proper way to do it, but it works for me. And then after that, I dip them in some eggs and then in some Italian breadcrumbs. I put these in the oven for about 15 minutes and then you need to take them out and flip them over and put them back in for 15 minutes. This night, I also made some teriyaki pineapple meatballs. This was my first time trying to make meatballs, but they actually came out pretty good. To get the onions and the garlic chopped up really tiny, I put them in my blender. I broiled the meatballs for a little longer than 10 minutes, and while they were in the oven, I started making the sauce. You just put all the ingredients into the blender. Once the meatballs were done cooking, I put them into skillets, and then I added the sauce to them. And then you let them boil, and then you turn it down to a simmer and let them cook in there and let the sauce thicken up. Walmart was out of the rice that I really wanted to make with this, so we got this one, and this rice was so horrible I will never get it again. Once the eggplant is done, you just add whatever kind of tomato sauce you want, and you add some mozzarella cheese and stick it back in the oven until the cheese is all melted, and then it is all done. I added some sesame seeds to the meatballs after they were done cooking. They honestly tasted way better the next day. And like I said, this rice was so horrible, it was so disgusting. And the eggplant was delicious. That night after dinner, I made this no-bake peanut butter pie. Avery had asked me to make it, so I told her I would. It's super easy. You just combine all these ingredients to a bowl and mix it together, put it in your pie crust, and then put it in the refrigerator overnight. On this night, my husband was making salmon, and I love when he makes salmon. That's like one of the only things I let him cook. So all I had to do was roast the potatoes and the carrots, and we also had Caesar salad again. I didn't get to film my husband making the salmon, but it is so delicious. I am going to leave the recipe in the description below. The next night, I made stuffed portobello mushrooms with spinach and feta cheese with honey carrots and bacon wrapped avocado. So first I placed the mushrooms face down and I rubbed them with olive oil, and I sprinkled some garlic powder on top, and I put them in the oven for about 10 minutes. So here I was melting some butter and then I added some honey to it. And then I added more honey after, while I was seasoning the carrots before I put them in the oven. After you put the mushrooms in for 10 minutes, they're going to be watery, so I just took a paper towel and dabbed them until they were dry. In a skillet, I put some olive oil and some fresh garlic with some chopped up spinach, and then I just cooked it for a few minutes. And then you add the spinach and feta cheese to the mushrooms, and then you put the mushrooms back into the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes. I sliced up 3 avocados, and then I had some bacon and I cut it in half. And then I just wrapped the slices of avocado with bacon and lined them up on a pan. Then you just stick these in the oven and you bake them until the bacon is nice and crispy. Everything came out so delicious. I really love these mushrooms. I am definitely going to make this again. And for the last night, we went super easy, just making some French fries in the oven. I had some leftover avocado and bacon, so I put those in the oven too to make them crispy again. And we also just made some veggie burgers. I usually season the veggie burgers before I put anything on, but I totally forgot, so I still put some on, but it was on the cheese, but it still tasted really good. And these buns were so delicious. We really enjoy making veggie burgers. They're so easy. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope I gave you some new ideas for dinner. I'll see you next time. Bye!